Hello and welcome to the Two Bald Brothers and the Microphone podcast. This is one of the Bald Brothers, Danny Ryan, and I'm here with Bruce. You're not bald, but it's still allowed. We still have people with hair joining us for the podcast.
I'm moving in that direction now, unfortunately.
Yeah, you all know. I'm sorry to hear that. So as we were prepping for this, before we jump into our main topic, you said you're going to be renting a boat this weekend. So that sounds like fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, we belong to a boat club down in Charleston, so it makes it easy. You don't have to trailer a boat around. You just take all your stuff, you show up at the dock, you load your boat up, you go, you come back, you unload all your stuff, and you go home.
That is nice. Are you renting it for the day or for a couple of hours, or how long do you typically rent it for?
You can kind of run it either you get the full morning or the full afternoon. They kind of do it in half-day chunks. So we're going out early Saturday morning.
Nice. We did that. There was a Groupon or something along those lines for this summer, and we ended up doing that and renting for a half a day, two different types of boats. One was more like a pontoon boat. The other was more like a skiing boat.
Ski boat. Yeah.
Yep. So we had a great time. It is nice where you just go there and bring what you need with you, and then you just leave.
Yeah. We bring our own tube, our own tow ropes. So we bring all our toys.
Nice.
And hook them up and go out and have some fun and come back, and somebody else takes care of cleaning the boat and all that stuff. So
that's awesome. So our topic today is about application modernization. And I guess the best place to start is what is this? What are we talking about when we talk about application modernization?
Yeah, so application modernization, is really, you can hear the words kind of refactoring, repurposing, maybe, consolidation of legacy applications. The idea is, taking older applications on older platforms, older infrastructure, and kind of replatforming those apps, and really trying to bring them onto a platform that more closely aligns with current business needs, and making these applications so that they can become more agile, more mobile, right? And more aligned with organizational strategies and plans. I think what we're seeing out in the marketplace is, cloud-based and mobile-based solutions are becoming a priority for most enterprises. And if you look at our space, right, we kind of work in the Microsoft ecosystem, and with Office 365 and Azure, I mean, organizations are seeing, tremendous value, in getting these older legacy applications that are client-based or client-server-based even, getting those, off of their on-prem environments and out into the cloud, right? And for us, again, kind of being in the Microsoft ecosystem, when we talk about legacy applications, we're not so much talking about, the old original legacy systems, which might be kind of your COBOL applications, right? Mainframe apps. We're really talking about, maybe SharePoint on-prem applications or SharePoint on-prem instances, Visual Basic applications that were built long ago, maybe Access applications, or even Office-based applications. I mean, we always talk about, Excel being the Swiss Army knife of organizations, right? I mean, Excel is a pretty powerful little tool, and it does a lot of things, but it's not a cloud-based, mobile-based kind of application, right? So, that's kind of the ecosystem when we think about those legacy systems, right? Legacy is the term, and getting those into the Microsoft cloud.
When you say value as they move over to the cloud, is it something where the support costs go down, the cost of just running the servers, or what do we typically see as being the, and I assume some of these also are just where people are, a lot of people with making the move over to the cloud, they're basically taking their stuff that's in their data center and moving it over to Microsoft's data center, and maybe not re-architecting at that point in time and just shifting stuff over into Microsoft's data centers. What we're talking about here is more of taking that and maybe changing the way the application itself is built and moving towards more of like a modern architecture of this.
Yeah, I mean, it could be moving it to a more modern architecture. It could be moving it to a modern user experience. But I think the key is trying to leverage as much of those legacy applications as you can and where you can. Yeah, and most of these applications, tend to be, kind of line of business applications,
Yeah.
departmental applications, things. There tend to be a lot of applications that have a real finite purpose and a real finite set of users, but they're on these older technologies and platforms
Yeah.
that are, part of it is it's just the cost of maintaining those old applications, because they're on these old platforms. Um, you have individuals in the IT organization supporting these applications, and there's one or two people that have all the domain knowledge, around these old Visual Basic or Access applications, and it's not a scalable situation, and those applications just the challenge is they're not extendable,
Hmm.
or it takes a lot of work to extend them, because some of those older technologies aren't as agile as we know with some of the newer technologies and some of the newer platforms.
Yeah.
Uh, and then you get to the point where Microsoft doesn't support some of those old platforms anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
and have to deal with SharePoint, right?
Yeah.
So somebody that's got that's running SharePoint on 2003, something like that. I mean, at some point you start to lose vendor support
Yeah.
for those platforms. Or the other thing that we're starting to see a lot too with a lot of the client-based applications, or even old client server, right, in that model. What happens is, new operating systems come out, new versions of Windows come out, new versions of SQL Server come out,
Yeah.
and guess what? Those applications break. So many of those applications are so brittle, and it's a nightmare, for IT organizations to kind of support those old kind of client-centric, applications, or client-server-based applications.
Hmm.
So, it just costs a lot of money, not only from a resource perspective, but, from an infrastructure perspective, and today, I mean, workforces are they're more mobile, right? They're
Hmm.
more device independent. It's the, we've heard the terminology kind of work anywhere, right? And, if I got a client-based or client-server-based application, you know, um, I can't work anywhere, you know, not without, RDPing into some, server or some box, and, it becomes problematic to try to, access an application. So, that's a lot of the pain that we're seeing, right, in organizations, you know,
Hmm.
and trying to, get to a platform that is more agile, that is more mobile, that can be extended as the business changes.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And what are some of the goals of doing this as you're trying to make this move?
I think the key goal, right, is these these legacy applications, these line of business departmental applications. I mean, they have tremendous value locked
Hmm.
inside these applications because they're still production applications, right? And they're still providing tremendous value, to the organization. So one of the things that's key in modernization is making sure you retain that value, right?
Hmm.
Because that's an asset to the enterprise. Um, but the beauty, so the real value proposition is retaining that value, right? That organizational value, that business value. But now, I get it into a platform and into an environment where I can now begin to extend that application
Hmm.
and quote unquote modernize it, which might be I put a more modern looking user experience on top of it, or it might be now I can begin to reshape that application to meet current business needs, right? So I'm getting an environment where I can be more agile. I can flex that application. I can make it, well, by default it can be a mobile application. So the value is, then kind of once you get it, into the new platform, you modernize it now, I can really be positioned to add more value to the application and create additional business value. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Yep, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So then, along with this, what are you hearing? Like, what's the overall value proposition that you see with this?
Well, I mean, some of that I talked about. So one is just cost reduction,
Uh
right?
huh.
And there's two costs, right? There's the operating cost, right? So
Yep.
the operating cost tends to be the people, right, supporting these legacy applications. So maybe you have a reduction in that cost, or because you're getting into a more modern platform, you have more resources that can help support and extend that application.
Hmm.
Uh, and then there's the capital cost, right? So if I can move away from a you know, uh, on-prem infrastructure, right? And we all know the costs associated with that, not only
Yeah.
from a people perspective, but obviously capital perspective. If I can get that into the cloud, I can save those costs, right? And then, it really frees some of those IT resources who are, spending a lot of time supporting these legacy apps. It frees them up to do other things, or, enables them to kind of retool themselves and grow themselves in learning how to use the newer tools, the newer technology. So it's a win-win for them too. Um, and really, I think you're getting into those cloud-based environments where there are, SLAs established. So,
Yeah.
I think you're going to reduce disruptions, right? With these client-based and client-server-based applications, when they go down, it's problematic.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's just, we look at it as it's risk mitigation, right? Anytime you can get these applications, into a cloud-based platform, right? You're minimizing risk, right? You're minimizing at least the infrastructure risks, some of those support risks. So it's really an insurance policy, right? And you're really kind of investing in the longer term health of those applications.
Hmm. This all sounds great. So how do I do this? Wow, that sounds wonderful. Now, how do I modernize?
Yeah, so I think the first step is to go through what we would call an application modernization, assessment. Just trying to spend the time to understand what's this application doing today,
Uh
what's its
huh.
business purpose, what are those core use cases, those usage scenarios, capturing key business rules, and modeling the current data structure, whether that data structure is behind Visual Basic, whether it's an Access database, whether it's an Excel structure of some kind, and then taking that and trying to understand in the new world and in these new platforms, where does it make the most sense to move or re-platform this application? Is it something that can be re-platformed in Office 365 in some way, and leveraging all the services available there, or is it something that maybe needs to move into an Azure-based platform, that might be more custom?
Hmm.
And then out of that comes what we call a product backlog, right? A schedule and a budget for here's our recommendation. Here's what we think the future state of this application would be, and here's what it's going to take to get there.
Hmm.
Um, so you kind of start with that, because really at the end of the day, there's probably kind of two, I guess, two work streams that come out of this, right? So if I'm going to move this platform and re-platform it, there is kind of I'll call it the re-platform services,
Hmm.
which is really taking that application and moving it to either an Office 365 or Azure platform, right? Really moving it to what I call it kind of solution as a service, not so much software as a service, because I mean, Dan, we kind of view ourselves as we're solution developers, we're solution builders. We like solving business problems, we like building solutions, and for us, it's kind of, you're taking this application and moving it and turning it into a solution that can be used and accessed by multiple users, right?
Yep.
So there's kind of re-platforming the application, right? And then the other piece of it underneath it is, well, that application has data behind it, right? There's some kind of content, some kind of data. It could be SharePoint data, right? Which
Hmm.
we all know about SharePoint migrations, but you really have to migrate all that application content to the new platform. And that's kind of migration services, right? And we think of migrations around SharePoint migrations a lot of time, but we might be migrating content from SQL Server or Access or Excel.
Hmm.
So there's out of this modernization assessment, there kind of becomes two parallel work streams. One is to re-platform the application itself, right? All the business logic, the UX behind it, et cetera. And then there's, okay, now we got to get the data, moved over to the new platform. So that's
Makes
kind of our
sense.
view of it.
That makes sense. And how do you see for working with? I guess to wrap this up is sort of the the first steps of this is really going into this assessment piece where we're looking at their environment and then coming up with a plan from there, uh, and then I guess based off of that is which applications do we try to re-platform, which ones then need to have their data migrated, and coming up with an overall strategy around that is sort of the first step to all of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think you have to look at, what are the applications that are providing me the most value.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are the ones you probably want to, move and re-platform, because now you're putting them in a position where I can really extend that value,
Hmm.
and really have a significant impact, on that, business user community. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think you have to do that, that first level kind of assessment and prioritization of, what applications are the most important, what are the most critical to my business, and those are really the ones you should focus on first.
Yep. In having an outside company like Threewill do this to help somebody help these, and because I imagine this is an initiative that's run by IT, the IT organization. What the benefits of having an outside organization like Threewill do something like this? Is it being able to run this like a project and have folks pull in the right people at the right time, or what do you perceive as being some of the benefits of having an outsider come in and do this for a company?
Well, I mean, certainly it's someone like 3O Conference come in and manage the whole effort, from
Yep.
start to finish. But I think what we bring is, best practices around, doing these kind of modernizations,
Yep.
right, and then migrations and replatforming, and bringing the experience that we have with other customers to bear,
Yep.
and really. I mean, we follow an agile Scrum process, and these kind of modernization, projects fit perfectly into agile Scrum.
Yeah.
It really lets you kind of incrementally, bring, those features across into the new platform. So,
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and look forward to more of these types of engagements in the future. And thank you for spending the time with me to go through this. Thank you so much, Bruce, and thanks for all you do every single day and delivering excellent results on projects. You're awesome, and you've got a great team. So appreciate everything you do.
oh man, I appreciate that. Just thrilled to be here, man. We're enjoying it very
Awesome.
much.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.